Доброго ранку. So in the very beginning, I would like to provide a very relevant, extensive quote from Paolo Bravi here about the importance of ornaments in traditional singing. As a matter of fact, ornaments of vocal melodies are anything but irrelevant aspects of musical styles. They color the song in a special way. If omitted, the melody would lose much of its atmosphere and feeling. Not only is ornamentation often the most evident acoustic feature of particular voices and singing styles, but in some cases it also has a prominent role in the overall characterization of a piece of music or a musical style. Whereas the main melody, that is the sequence of principal notes, is secondary, not primary, but secondary, to the point that it can barely be recognized per se. For example, by trying to play it on piano, if it is deprived of its embellishments. The aesthetic value of a vocal piece of music may not rely on the main melody, but mostly on the expressive means that it employs. And there are many examples that could be given to explore this topic. The most numerous examples of Lithuanian traditional singing examined here are those of Maria Navickienė from Dzūkija. It is southeastern Lithuania, and she is perhaps the brightest, so to say, star of traditional Dzūkai traditional singing. Actually, when I was preparing this topic and those slides, I saw that I have a huge quantity of material, and that it is not possible to present everything in a course of
Yes.
half an hour. So I present some examples of Dzūkai traditional singing, then a couple of examples from Ukrainian and Belarusian, and I think that it deserves more attention. I will not touch some specific types of ornaments, so maybe this is an idea to the part number 2 or even part number 3 of this topic. And when I was preparing those slides, I simply even got an idea to prepare entire monograph about those issues. So let's start from the simplest ornaments, appoggiaturas. This figure shows one example of appoggiatura. That I mean, maybe two examples in this song, in the first melostrophe of a song, and they typically appear at the beginning of melodies, or sometimes in the middle of melody, as here, approaching a structural pitch from below. So, like in the beginning, it was tu paukštuke. Another example from another singer here. Rodina Bogušienė. So again, in the very beginning of melody, Mm. Now let's go to achacaturas. There are not strict boundaries between achacaturas and appoggiaturas. Those limits are caused by the psychological difference between, so say, normal short durations. It is approximately 400 milliseconds or so. It is appoggiaturas, which are perceived similarly to structural sounds, and very short durations. They often appear at the beginning of phrases or subdivisions of a melody, although they also occur at other structural sounds. For instance, from below, as you see here, from below, and we can listen to one example.
Yeni, yeni,
Mm, yeah,
yeni.
um, and from above as well, from above. This MKN means that Mario Kožutė Navickienė, that's the, the main singer. And from above.
Vay, vay, vay.
Mhm, right. And there are also more complex achacaturas consisting of more than one ornamental sound, and we will come to them a bit later. Now, also very simple case, very simple type of ornaments, its terminations. It is transition from one structural note to another. So sometimes that extra short sound following the structural sound fills the gap between structural sounds. Sometimes it coincides with the target structural sound, and sometimes it is added in the opposite direction to the target structural sound. And here are some examples of the latter case, of the third case, when it is added in the opposite direction to the target sound. Now, vibrato. Why vibrato? Vibrato is not the subject of this study, but it is necessary to discuss it briefly. Why it is so, it will soon become clear. What is vibrato? It is a rapid periodic change of the fundamental tone, more or less sinusoidal in shape, and it is not perceived as a change in pitch, only as a certain property of the tone's vibration. Such a change is not perceived because it is quite rapid, mostly 5/8 cycles per second. That means the typical frequency of vibrato is from 5 to 8 hertz. For example, this figure shows vibrato with a cycle lasting approximately 0.155 seconds. Thus, the vibrato frequency is approximately 6.5 hertz, so 6.5 cycles fit into 1 second. The second parameter of vibrato is its amplitude. That means the interval between the highest and lowest pitch of vibrato cycle. These pitches are heard only in slow speed. However, even when listening in a normal speed, a certain vibrato swinging is perceived. And the figure shows the vibrato amplitude, which is approximately 2 semitones or a whole tone. Now, why do we need vibrato? Again, let's start from one specific case, which is called here faint acciaccatura, which is found in Maria Noviskena singing, and not not only in singing of this Zuken singer. These are short, small pitch elevations at the beginning of sounds. See here in the picture. Pitch drop from maximum to relatively constant ranges from quarter tone. It is a quarter tone approximately, as you see on this axis, to whole tone, and the corresponding time ranges from 40 to 70 milliseconds roughly. So why did we discuss vibrato? The faint acciaccatura psychologically is similar to the vibrato that occurs at the beginning of structural sounds. This is a partial case of such a vibrato when only half or even a little less of the vibrato cycle is intoned. We can hardly perceive those small short jumps, but actually they color the performance. Interestingly, the pitch maximum corresponds approximately to the sound level minimum. At those points, we have sound level minimum, and later the sound level increases. Probably this is because in the course of such a vocal maneuver, the voice briefly moves to a higher and acoustically weaker register, or at least there is such tendency. So again, the faint acciaccaturas are usually not perceived. They are audible unless special efforts are made to concentrate. However, whilst clearly incomprehensible, they are quite frequent and quite significant in the context of the singing style discussed. Let's listen to another example of faint acciaccaturas. Maybe the third occurrence is heard most clearly. Now let's move to double acciaccatura. Double acciaccaturas can be interpreted as more complex cases of faint acciaccaturas. In this case, the ornament corresponds to the entire vibrato cycle, up and down. And mordents are, in fact, the equivalent of double acciaccaturas. And let's see notations of some examples. So voice briefly moves up and down, and it takes approximately one cycle of vibrato in the beginning of those notes. And some other examples. Now, finally, we will discuss the most complex type of ornaments. Recall that a rapid periodic change in pitch is perceived as a vibrato. It means that a steady pitch tone with a vibrating quality. But what happens when a glissando is added to vibrato? Let us model the process. Say the change of objective pitch is given by the following formula. The first member is this formula represents vibrato. The second is for glissando, and C is simply normalization constant. Because of gradual sensory memory decay, the latter the information, the more weight it gets. I mean, how do we perceive pitch of a um, short changes of rapid changes? So we perceive pitch not as it is at the certain moment, but we integrate pitch at this moment with with a little bit weight of previous moment, more previous moment, earlier and earlier. So it can be modeled by this formula. I will not go deep to this formula, and let's apply some mathematical procedures. This formula to traditional singing, where the vibrato is added to the glissando. And here we see simulation results for two typical cases for different amplitudes of vibrato. And um, and mm, the solid lines here, sorry, dotted lines represent the real pitch change, real pitch change, and solid lines, it is the perceived pitch change, integrated pitch change, perceived pitch change. So vibrato, when it is applied, when gliding from top to bottom, it is perceived as a sequence of short sounds, no longer as vibrato with glide, but as a sequence of short sounds, as you see here. So again, how do we make a sequence of short melismatic sounds? Simply we apply vibrato and glissando at the same moment, and then we perceive the melismatic sequence. Mhm. See some examples here. And then listen to one of them. So it's vibrato with glide, but we perceived as a sequence of a couple of notes. In terms of vocal technique, register jumps need to be mentioned again. During the first vibrato cycle, there is a jump to a higher register for a short time here. This is indicated by a temporary decrease in sound level and the changes in spectrum. Decrease, this is sound level, yeah, sound level. So the highest pitch corresponds to the weakest sound here. Um, at the beginning of this ornament, the fundamental tone, as you see here, prevails. And later, we come to the, should say, normal to lower register. It is marked by the fact that the overtones prevail, not fundamental as in the top, but overtones. So again, there are total or partial jumps to the high register or to a mixed register. Um, the mhm, mhm, mhm. Again, the next example that can be shown here, and we can listen to that. So here we can clearly see how it is constructed. In the very beginning is faint acciaccatura, then normal vibrato, and then glissando is added. You can see clearly that the cycle is the same. The period, the cycle is the same. Yes, glide is added, and that's why we hear sequence of short notes. Hmm? So now similar ornaments can be found in Slavonic musical dialects, and the figure shows how one vocal part approaches the lower, drawing vocal parts through a sequence of ornamental sounds. This is Ukrainian ceremonial song Vesnyanka. The next figure shows a combination of gliding down and a slight vibrato here. Mhm. In addition, the resulting sequence of short ornamental sound begins with that we have named faint acciaccaturings here. Such a combination does not seem to be typical of the Lithuanian musical dialect. An even richer combination of ornaments is in the singer's Hanna Yevsovich performance. Two ornamental sounds approaching the structural sound from above, as you see here. Then structural sound, three ornamental sound, and returning to a structural sound of the same pitch. And then structural sound and three ornamental sounds downwards, as you see here, and even five ornamental sounds formed by a strong vibrato and glissando down, as you see here. We can listen to the entire sequence. Let's let us now consider the Belarusian example. On the one hand, the similar falls of two, three sounds are identified here, which are not typical for Lithuanian singing here. On the other hand, the ornamental sequence in this portion of performance is actually typical for Lithuanians. These are just a few examples of ornaments in Slavonic traditional singing. They obviously deserve more attention. Of the Lithuanian musical dialects, I have discussed only the Dzūkians here. In the interests of time, I will not discuss other musical dialects. There are similarities and differences with the Dzūkai, and specific ornaments that have not been mentioned yet. Finally, I would like to mention just one type of ornamentation that occurs in Aukštaitian singing. This is northeastern part of Lithuania. It sounds like a kind of short shout. Acoustically, it is a large, even up to five semitones, leap glide up and down. See the peaks here. Also glissando up here in the very beginning. Glissando plus vibrato may be mentioned. We can listen to that example.
Голова шукоя, голова шукой. Голова шукоя, голова шукой.
Go, maybe a bit lower. Go, 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 go. Or another example of this singer would be Шодактёле, пердактё, like short shout with a large amplitude. So by this example, I would like only demonstrate that there is a huge variety of those of ornaments, starting from very simple, but then going to more complicated, and that of course I am planning to work with this topic later, and to make some more investigations and comparisons between the different dialects and musical cultures. So, when studying and interpreting ornaments, it should be first noted that they are very diverse. These are short, long, double achicaturas terminations, more than faint achicaturas, and so on and so on. Due to this diversity, there is no reference test method suitable for all cases. Often, melodic embellishments are not just small notes sung one after the other, but rather the results of various vocal maneuvers. Therefore, in explaining the nature of the vocal technique of such examples, the information in the intonogram, it means the graph of pitch change, information in the intonogram can be significantly supplemented by knowledge of other sound parameters, most notably the sound level curve and the spectrogram. Acoustic analysis shows that there are both similarities and differences between ornaments used in different musical dialects and musical cultures. It means that ornaments act as style markers, so their study deserves more attention. And дякую.
Дякуємо. Thank you very much, Rytis. And questions?
Yeah, I have a question for Rytis.
Please.
Tell me, please, what's the purpose of mathematical modeling or that you describe? What's vibrato, what's staccato, and so on? What was the purpose of mathematical model? But you describe these things, and what was the purpose of that?
Yeah, thank you. So as it is shown, it demonstrates our perception.
Perception
so
of
perception,
what?
why do we perceive a sequence of short notes, and how those short notes are made? So that they are made by adding glide to vibrato. So we can because when we write notes, we write what we perceive. Yes.
Yes.
And our perception differs from those acoustical graphs, at least somewhat a bit, and so the mathematical modeling can show us and can explain us why do perceive like that but not like that.
And how it translates to ethnical music besides other music? How it comes?
I have showed here different examples
Because
how
you know, vibrato is vibrato. It's in other words, in classical music, in rock music,
yeah,
vibrato is vibrato.
yes, and
Next question.
vibrato plus glissando is perceived as a sequence of short notes. And by the way, it was shown for so to say the model is general. It is not like this. It would be a mistake to think that it works only for classical singing or so. It is a general thing, and so it was shown for different musical styles. I mean, for academic classical music, jazz, including folk music. Now, what was new in this my study, I simply chose certain parameters of vibrato and glide, and showed certain concrete cases how it is perceived. So vibrato plus glissando is not vibrato. It is a sequence of short sounds.
The next question is from Anastasia Mazurenko, Ljubljana, Slovenia, and Labai. Very short, please.
Thank you. My question is about individual and style, regional style work, if it comes to statistical things, because ornaments is usually goes with individual or performance style. Is it really possible to calculate in statistical way and to show some larger features like regional or even ethnical feature of such performance?
Thank you. Very good question, and I have made a couple of studies on it. So see, as this presentation it was dealing with acoustics only and with the perception. I didn't show statistical results, but in a couple of studies, I calculated how frequent this or that type of ornament is in the singing of one singer, of other singer, and in general of in Zucan style, in Jamaican style, and of course there are differences. There are differences between singers, between regions. Then there are differences in how to calculate the methods. What does it mean? Statistic, for instance, two types how to calculate. So, what duration in comparison with all duration of performance? What is perceived as ornaments? The percentage. Another method is how many notes, how many structural notes are embellished in that performance. So yes, I can talk very very long, but there are certain differences and very clear differences between dialects, and some of types, for instance, can be found in Jamaican, it is Western Lithuania singing, and they can't be found in Zucan. Also, as I mentioned briefly, that some ornaments can be found in Slavonic singing, but they can't be found in Lithuanian singing. Then other thing that then it is psychological thing that we do like very much ornaments, and we think that ornaments are very frequent in singing, but even we take Maria Kodžiūtė-Navickienė, this prominent singer, and we calculate percentage, how many notes are embellished with the melismas. The percentage is quite small, really. And in other Dzūkian singers, we can find in the one melostrophe sometimes only one or two forschlags, and that's it. So so they're not as frequent as it seems in general. But thank you for the question. I can present those.
Thank you.
And next question is from Yelena Jovanovic, Belgrade, Serbia, please.
Hello.
Hello, Elena. Nice to see you.
I just wanted to congratulate Rytis of musical acoustics in traditional singing. So nice to see you and congratulations. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the
Olena
question
Shevchuk.
from Olena Shevchuk, Kyiv.
Did you hear me?
Yes, yes.
I like to thank for very interesting information and beautiful examples, musical examples, and very important studies by spectrograms. It's very, very important. But I have a question about nomenclature of time ornament. What kind of nomenclature do you use when you define ornament? As I know more Baroque and classical and romantic ornaments, I feel that these ornaments are known with another titles, and what we have listened like double acciaccatura. It is known like Schneller or reduced trill also, or sometimes like upper mordent. Тобто, that is another titles for the same ornaments. And which one did you prefer to use when you define
I'm
it?
sorry, I want. Atsiprašau, dabar negaliu kalbėti.
Sure.
Taip, paskambink.
Я не чую.
I'm sorry, some problems.
Рітісу
Okay,
подзвонили паралельно.
So actually, yes, moderns and double acciaccaturas, if to study them acoustically, it is, you can say, there can be maybe very faint difference. Maybe moderns represent a bit slower change of pitch, but there is no strict borders. So in some cases we can say, when we transcribe music, one of us can say that this is more than other of us can say probably this is more likely double acciaccatura. So no strict border. But
And is this your term, double acciaccatura?
no,
It's yours? It's of yours?
it is used in at least in Lithuanian ethnomusicology.
Thank you very much. На жаль, у нас дуже вже